My name's Thomas Mayo. I'm a proud MUA official, and this film, Walk With Us, has been made to feature the MUA's involvement in the campaign for the Uluru Statement from the Heart and the long solidarity that our union has with Indigenous people.
I was missing home, so decided to move back to Queensland, and my brother said to me, "Oh, Vicky, you want to come down to Gladstone and find work down here?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, go on, let's give it a go." And it wasn't until I went to the college, these union fellas come around. I didn't really know much about the union. I didn't get too in depth with it until later on down the track, and I started listening to the old fellas on the ships, what unionism is and what it's all about. And when they said like union, they help First Nations people, I was like, oh, this is pretty deadly. I was like helping my mob. From there, I got invited down to the National Council meeting first. That's where the campaign came out, the Uluru Statement from the Heart. And I got my comrades on the ship to I said, this is for a voice in the referendum. We need to show our support and be there.
We leave base camp and start our trek across this vast country. We invite you to walk with us in a movement of the Australian people for a better future.
In 2020, I got invited to the national conference. We must have had over 500 people there, or maybe more. Oh my Lord, there's a lot of people here. And it was a great experience, I loved it. And that was my first big speech. My name is Vicky Morta. Membership number 9029. I was very nervous, but it was good. I'm an IR on the RTM Weeper. And after that, I got a call from Thomas. He's like, oh, Vicky, there's a bloke by the name Dean Parkin. He's from the Heart campaign. He said he wants you to speak down at the National Museum. Standing proudly before you as an Aboriginal and South Sea Islander descendant. Always proud as a Nunjinji woman from the Atherton Tablelands. I was born in Atherton and raised in Innisfail.
I was born on the Atherton Tablelands, so I come from a family of 15. We lived a hard life, we were happy. We were happy.
Now, you were born in Atherton. Who are your mob?
Indingi, the Indingi tribe.
Yep.
And that's all going up to Atherton, going back to Tinaroo. That's all Mum's land, there.
What about Grandad's land?
Najan.
Grandad's Najan, land was Yirinju.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's one thing my mother taught me. She never taught us much about the language and that, but she taught us to be proud that who we are.
Proud of your identity?
Yeah.
Okay. So you're a proud Aboriginal Malayan woman.
Probably can see that in us.
You can see it in some of the kids and grandkids, great grannies. On my real father's side of the family, his family come from the South Sea Islanders, Vanuatu, and all the Providence Islands. good to know all connections, ancestors and stuff, no matter what culture they, like where they come from. On the way to Cairns, there's a place called Derail. My family used to live down there. They lived in huts and tin shacks because all my grandfathers used to plant cane around that area. Chillum is that mountain right there. At the back of that, that's where I was born, Atherton Tablelands. That's where Nudjan land is, Nudjan country. Knowing that Nudjan people, Mamu people, Yirinji people, they all trade, they all did all their hunting and gatherings on these lands.
The bats, their flying fox, the turtle, bungaroo, the fish, goya, the platypus.
That dad used to go all the way out there. If we had a bit of rain, see them.
The government wanted to breed us out, but they couldn't do that. We're still here, see? We've been here 50,000 years and we're still here back in the day. And this area here, all our old people got taken away to Palm Island, to Yarrabah, to Mona Mona Mission, up there where Woodjul, Warrabinda, they got taken away. So we've come back home, and this is the generation us now that got to come back home, and we need to keep that alive.
All around here was all camps. The Aboriginal people had the biggest camp here and that side. And they come in and they decided they wanted to do development. And this falls, they turned it into a tourist area. So the camp all had to be taken down. We either all walk together or we don't walk at all. Yeah. I mean, we teach them our culture because we're already learning their ways. So they've got to learn about our culture, not push it in the background where we come from. It's got to be shared.
Every little knowledge I get, I try and keep with me, and sometimes if I forget, I'll get them every time I see them again. Tell me, Uncle, or tell me, Nan, tell me that story. Just to keep my mind refreshed too, and so that I know stories about my country and about my people, my culture, and, you know, what happened and how they lived. So, yeah, today was a very special day for me because you're not going to get your old people around forever. And it is so important for a referendum so that we get to have a say for our people, and we know what's best for our people. Terry, how will you bring other Indigenous unionists on board with the campaign?
Just tell them the truth about it, you know, like it's about, mate, it's about your great-grandparents and what they suffered. And if it's about your great-grandparents, then it's about your great-grandchildren. And if you don't make a stand for your grandchildren or your great-grandchildren, who's going to make it? You have an opportunity. We collectively have an opportunity. But my voice is only one voice. No. But if your voice goes with Vicky Morta's voice and Tommy, yeah, that's right. And all of a sudden, that voice
gets bigger and bigger,
right.
And louder and
louder. That's right.
Yeah.
And the voice gets heard in Canberra, and the voice gets heard in the High Court, and the voice gets heard in the referendum, and that's what happens. We have to negotiate from where we are as sovereign people.
Yep.
Because at the end of the day, the High Court ruled that if the doctrine of terra nullius was legal fiction, then we're sovereign, and they're trying to avoid it. But we've got to not let them avoid it when we're talking about treaty or we're talking about a voice to Parliament. If you ever need support, you can back the union up to give you the support.
Well, they taught me not to say shame job anymore, you know, big shame and...
That's how we are, though, with a shame job.
Yeah, true. But, you know, like, get up and have a little bit more confidence in myself. So,
Yeah?
Yeah.
They told me you talk too much.
I look
No,
out.
yeah.
Last question there.
Done.
Thank you, Evan.
I'm going home now. If we don't get a positive outcome in this referendum, and I think we will, Australia will stay divided. And as long as there's no time where they want to come together and actually face the truth of the history of European settlement in this country, then the country will be divided on this issue. It will not go away because justice has not been done. That's how important it is.
Yeah.
Good. That's great. Yeah, but I've had the benefit of a lot of mentors. I mentioned earlier the Federal Council for CATSI as it became known. That was a national body and it was an opportunity for people, Aboriginal, the Torres Strait Islanders, right round the country to come together. Now, the woman who became the main organiser for the referendum was Faith Bandler and Kath Walker, the poet, Joe McGuinness. These are all giants of Aboriginal advancement and, of course, Pastor Doug. Finally, the referendum was there. Now, the way that was organised was so brilliant, but as I said, it was a 10-year struggle. Now, this started in '56, by the way. This organisation was non-party political. Unions used to participate. They would also make funds available for the travel. Now, there were also church groups, groups of university students, and gradually this whole swell built. And finally they passed it. If you go out and can show, as I think the Uluru Statement is showing at the moment, that this is for all of Australia, that the whole of Australia will benefit. I think what the people are saying now, it's come with us on our journey. The future's there.
It's a great honour to have you here with us, with our Italian connection.
It's been a long progress, but we're getting there. Yeah.
It's been 5 years for the
statement.
Yeah.
Since 2000.
There are Aboriginal people in Parliament. That's different from having it in the Constitution. You have something in the Constitution that recognizes and acknowledges Aboriginal priority.
People have a treaty right now with Australia, with the government or with the Australian government at all. Do they have a treaty?
No.
Voice treaty truth.
Yeah.
We mainly want our voices. We want to be heard. Yeah. Not saying that we want. Hey, how about we sit down and talk and discuss how we can help our people and how the government can also help us. Because at the moment they're the ones that are telling us what's best for us.
The problem is, because the situation is complex, it makes it very easy to create confusion on those that don't want to hear about it.
My grandfather and his brother Arthur started working on the Sydney docks in the first decade of the 20th century, and they worked on the wharf for nearly 35 years. That's where involvement with the trade union movement, and they basically really agitated to defend Aboriginal political rights.
Hello, Louie.
How are you, my sister?
Very, very good.
Welcome to Newcastle and Purai. This is our space.
This is cold country down here.
My grandfather quickly realised that the prejudice, racism and oppression we were facing here wasn't a localised thing, it was a global thing, and we needed to fight it internationally. And that was a real recognition for him, and which led to the formation of the first united all Aboriginal political organisation, the Australian Aboriginal Progressive Association, that formed in Sydney in 1924 and was in the public space until 1929, when it was hunted and hounded out of existence by the police acting for the New South Wales Aborigines Protection Board.
Yeah, this, so like this.
Yes, the Uluru Statement from the Heart. Yeah, people don't realise this is not something new. This didn't bob up with the Uluru Statement of the Heart. This goes all the way back to my grandfather's organisation nearly 100 years ago. They put out a manifesto in 1927, and the demands they made, a national land rights agenda. They wanted enough land for each and every Aboriginal family in this country. That's a national land rights agenda. They demanded self-determination 50 years before the Whitlam government put it up and was recognised as the first moment of self-determination. It wasn't. Aboriginal activists put that up back in the 1920s. My grandfather's organisation demanded that the protection boards of that particular era were abolished and replaced by an all-Aboriginal board to sit under the Commonwealth Government to oversee Aboriginal affairs. That is the voice to Parliament. That's what people need to understand, black and white. It is something that our people fought for nearly 100 years, and it's long overdue.
Good being with Thomas, like he's a deadly comrade, because he seems to be getting me into all this stuff, which is helping me build my confidence. I'm glad he's my mentor.
The Uluru Statement has artwork around it as well, so it's sort of like a tradition for us.
Yeah.
With these statements and petitions, yeah.
I'm Thomas. Yeah, Tom.
Yeah, I've got a meeting with
yeah.
Thank you for taking the time to sit with me. I'm very passionate about the Uluru Statement from the Heart and what it can do for our, future generations. I want to become like an advocate. How do I do it and where do I start?
The first thing about this is to have a look at where's the Australian public, because we're talking about a referendum, and the Australian public are the people that are going to have to be convinced to the path we go down eventually, because we need what they call a double majority of voters in a majority of states. Well, if you think of it in terms of a boat, so your job as the boss of the boat is to keep your eye on all those little factors that are impacting your boat and the safety. And so you need to be smart. All your skills are going to be needed. It's to change our constitution, to put an obligation, a constitutional obligation, to require the Parliament of Australia to legislate for a voice for the First Nations. So that's the cargo you carry.
Yeah.
That's your precious cargo.
Yeah.
And you know how important and how significant it will be when you get on the other side, through the sea, to a successful referendum. It won't bind the Parliament, it won't take the power away from the Parliament, but it'll be the voice where they can say, hey mate, you're doing the wrong thing, pull up.
Yes.
And they'll either listen or they won't listen. If they don't listen, then the public will know that the First Nations people have had a disagreement with the Parliament of the day on some law that they're trying to make that's going to affect their lives. You're also telling the story of the union that has played a role by explaining to all the workers and the sailors and the seamen why this has been important. They have to overcome the fear of what this change might do to the Constitution. And then they'll say, this is an important thing for us to be doing. Good to see you, mate. Take care. Yeah. And you too, dear. All right? Get a photo of you too.
Yes.
Yeah.
We've been all from station. We've been all quarter to triple here. Down here. Wait for the union map to bring food.
23 young people travelled all the way from Cairns, probably close to 50 hours already in a bus, cooped up and made our way here. We're calling ourselves a convoy to Gurindji. Our convoy has been about supporting young people to be a part of the movement towards a referendum, achieving a referendum. We're just here to learn and to listen and to, draw strength from such a resilient movement. Like
take in all the culture.
Yeah. Just be around mob, Different mob, but same mob, but,
different mob, one blood.
That's it. Yep. That's the one.
All of us.
Who does Vicky Morta? She deadly. Since the arrival of white people to our country, they've been fighting to maintain our culture, our practices, our traditions. And even more so now, our mob have been advocating for our space in our own country. That was deadly.
Always was, always will.
Oh, powerful, man. When I think about my Nana, she was removed from her country and she was raised on Palm Island.
What a mess. Don't you ever do anything without that hair, dear.
She didn't have a say over that. And for me, that's why I go, this is why we need a voice, because we need to make sure that nothing ever happens like that again in this country.
We have too much to lose. We can't afford to be told to wait for another few more generations. Our youth need our people, our elders, our culture. Personally, I have family members and friends with problems like mental health, drug and alcohol use, youth in detentions and suicides, and have left a loss in people's hearts. Whereas Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders, we can help make change to better the future for our children and our children's children. So I now ask for you to walk with us in this movement and stand by us to better our future for the First Nations people of Australia. Thank you for your time. I hope I have made a difference.
I hope you've enjoyed the film. It will hopefully inspire you to get involved in the campaign for the Uluru Statement from the Heart and to win this referendum. The website is www.yes23.com.au, so get on there and register your support. And also you can join the Kitchen Table Conversations campaign called Together Yes, www.togetheryes.com.au. Walk with us.
Thank you. Salute you. Dave, Jim. Good night.